Hey everybody, I did my interview with Sarah Paschetti of Sarah Paschetti Photography. You might notice a similar last name, it is my sister-in-law. So when we had to interview someone who started their own business, it was the first thing that came to mind because I just really respect her for her success. So I called her up and we had our interview, so I'm going to tell you guys about it. The first slide there is just her contact information. She also has a website, which I didn't list on here, but it's just sarahpaschetti.com. You guys should check it out. It's really cool. So initial opportunity. She actually studied sports communications in college. Really wanted to go into broadcasting. However, she does have several heart issues, and during her job at actually a law firm, she started to realize that she wasn't going to be able to work the usual 8 to 5 schedule. So instead, she thought of something she could do. She didn't want to sit at home and not have a job, so she thought about the idea of starting her own business. She's always taken pictures for people, she's always the one with the camera at a party or anything like that, so she thought, you know what, why don't I go for it? And her first act was to find one of her close friends who actually already was a successful photographer, and picked their brain, figured out what she needed to learn. They gave her advice on just the aspect of actual photo taking and editing, things she was good at but didn't have the fine-tuning in her skills yet, so that was her first thing. But then the next thing was business. She didn't study very much of that in college, so her first thing was to take several online classes. So she did that for marketing, finance, accounting, things like that, just learned the logistics of how to finance and run and just profit from a small business that you start on your own. The other thing she did too was take to the social media world, which, as we all know, photo taking and things like that is constantly changing, and with social media, it's evolving more and more every day, what people like, the kinds of editing they do, and many people have access to it with the great technology we have, so that was her other thing she did, was social media research. She said one of her biggest risks up front was all the money spent on equipment. I don't know if you guys know this, but cameras are very expensive, and they also come with, a lot of times you have to buy multiple lenses, things like that, so that was another thing that was just a very big risk, was spending all the money on the equipment. That was her main risk, she said. And so she said their break-even point was after their first 2 years. When I asked about the capital structure, she said they didn't take out any loans. So it was all out of pocket, which I really admire, and there's a lot of freedom in that, I think, because they weren't having to pay off a loan over the years. One of the biggest business moves, she said, was moving to a limited liability company. That was when she finally registered her business with the government. She did it as limited liability so that she protected all her personal expenses. And another big decision was adding her husband, my brother, to be her second shooter, and he also handles all the emails, things like that. When I asked about a regret they had, she said that in the beginning many people suggested renting equipment, and they didn't listen. They said, why should we rent when we can buy? But apparently a lot of photographers use different things, and you can end up wasting money if you just buy until you know what you need and what suits your style. And then when I asked her about advice on starting up your own business, her main thing was research, research, and research. She said she spent tons of her time doing that. That was her main thing, was going to social media, asking around, going to workshops, things like that, just learning all she could know about the business and the target market, and whether or not she thought she could be successful. So that was her advice. I really enjoyed interviewing her. In the end, it was nice to learn more about the business side of things. I've always just thought, oh, my sister-in-law is a photographer, but I haven't thought about how did this all happen, and how did she make it happen, and how is it so successful today. So overall, I really enjoyed it and admire her from it, and who knows, maybe it'll be my inspiration to start my own business one day. Thanks.